So we're gonna start with this book called Tartine. It's a bakery up in SF, and I was just there like a month ago. I had some of their things. The sourdough was really good, so I decided to get this book. And it seems like there's a lot of recipes that I'm really interested in. So for the first one, we're gonna be doing the banana cream pie. Before we start, you will need a pie shell. So if you have not made yours, please head on over to this video to make it. We'll need chocolate, heavy cream, I skipped the sugar, caramel sauce, pastry cream, ripe bananas. I do not have a chocolate bar, but I'll make do with that. So, first, the caramel sauce. In a pot, we're gonna heat up some cream with a spoonful of vanilla and bring that to a boil. Once it's boiling, we're gonna transfer it to another bowl and set it aside until we need it. In that same pot, we're gonna put in some sugar, water, and maple syrup. And this will be caramelized till a golden brown color. I like to check my caramel color against a white background as such. I'm happy with that color, so I'm gonna go ahead and start adding in the cream. We do this by parts. Be careful because it is gonna bubble furiously, so just go slowly. At this point, the caramel does look a little too thick to my liking, and I would add more milk, but because I've never done this before, I'll just see where this goes first. So I've transferred this to another bowl and we'll let this cool for a bit. Once it's cooled, as you can see, it kind of hardened up a little too much. So I popped that in the microwave real quick to soften it. We can start adding the butter 1 cube at a time. At this point, the mixture does look really oily and I was pretty hesitant to add in butter again, but I'll just stick to it and see where this goes. It quickly became a hot pile of mess, and I'm gonna fix it by adding some milk, a tablespoonful at a time. As you can see, the mixture kind of came back together. Although it still does look a bit oily, so I'm still gonna add a few more tablespoonful until I'm happy with the texture, which is kind of moldy looking and shiny as well. Yup, this is what I want. So I'm gonna sprinkle a bit of salt just to bring out the flavor even more. Give it a cheeky taste, and then we'll store that in the fridge till we need it. Next up is pastry cream. So we're gonna heat up some milk with a hint of vanilla again. And while we're waiting for that to heat up, we're gonna take the eggs, sugar, and flour and mix that all together until it's smooth. Once the milk starts steaming, pour 1/3 into the egg mixture and mix it until it's smooth. And then add it all back into the pot. Bring it to a boil and let it cook for a further 1 or 2 minutes. So just make sure you keep stirring the custard, as you do not want to burn the bottom part of it. And also don't forget the corners of the pot. Once you start seeing lines and bubbles forming, this is when the custard is almost ready. I like to take it off the heat at that point and then pour it into a bowl just to let it finish cooking by itself with the residual heat. Cover the custard with a plastic film fully in contact with it so no skin forms on the top. Give it that mandatory pat and then leave it aside till it's warm to touch before we add the butter pieces. Once it's cooled, remove the plastic and we can start mixing. Give it a good stir to loosen up the custard a bit, and we'll start adding the butter pieces slowly, 1 cube at a time. Also, make sure you use room temperature butter so it makes your life way easier. Once it's all stirred in, we're gonna cover it back with the plastic film and set it aside until we are ready to use it. Now we're gonna melt some chocolate. I use the microwave on high at 10-second intervals, stirring each time to make sure all the chocolate pieces are melted as such. Now onto the whipped cream. Since I'm doing a smaller size pie, I'll just whip the cream by hand. I add some vanilla into the cream and omitted the sugar. And I'll just whip it till it's nice and fluffy. Finally, we can cut the bananas into 0.5 centimeter thick pieces. You want to do this last so then the bananas won't go black before you assemble them. Now we have all our components, it's time to assemble. So take the pie shell, pour some chocolate into it, and spread it around. Do a thin, even coating all around the insides of the shell. This is to prevent the shell from getting soggy too quick, as well as holding its shape while you're cutting it. It will be much easier if you use a brush, but I was just too lazy to get one. Now that's done, we're gonna pop it in the fridge for a few minutes until it's dry to touch. Next, we'll spread some caramel sauce over the base. Again, if the caramel sauce is too thick, just pop it in the microwave, or you can add some milk. Otherwise, if it is actually too liquid, you will want to cook it further to thicken it even more. So we're just gonna spread that evenly around the base. I find that using a spoon is the easiest way to do it. And then we'll add a heaping spoonful and a half of custard, spreading it around again. Next, we'll pile on an even layer of bananas. And then we'll drizzle some more caramel sauce. Try to kind of spread it around. I know it's a bit difficult, so just as much as you can. And then 2 heaping tablespoons of custard. Finally, the last layer of bananas. And then we'll add in the cream. I like to cover it all the way to the sides of the pie, but this is the final look of it, so let your creativity run wild. I do not have a chocolate bar, so I'm just gonna use whatever I have and grate that over the pie as a decoration. It's really simple. And that is your banana cream pie. That one's for you. And the rest is for me. I hope you guys learned something today. Comment down below what other recipes you want me to do in this book. Or any other book that you are interested in working the recipe with me.
Don't forget to like, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, follow, and I'll see you in the next one.